All right, my people, let's talk about this. Something very interesting over here. Malian foreign minister has accused Ukraine of sending weapons and equipment to terrorists in Mali so that they could destroy Mali. They could cause mayhem in the country. Now, do you think the Malian foreign minister is insane for accusing Ukraine of sending weapons and equipment to terrorists to destabilize this country? Do you think he's insane? If you think so, let's find out. Alright family, thank you for staying tuned. Before we get into the details, please just hit that subscribe button. Just hit it before we look at the details so that you'll be part of this family. Now let's go to Mali here, this country. Malian foreign minister Abdoulaye Diopes denounced external support that armed groups operating in the country, and he has specifically named Ukraine as the sponsor of providing logistical assistance to terrorists, while reaffirming Bamako's refusal to engage in dialogue with these groups.
On Saturday, April 25, 2026, Mali was the victim of complex terrorist attacks coordinated and planned with internal and external sponsors against several cities in our country. These attacks caused civilian and military casualties, including the late Army General Sadio Kamara, Minister of State, Minister of Defense, and Veterans Affairs, whose disappearance was the subject of the press release dated April 26, 2026, from the transitional government. Coming back to the attacks, I would like to share the findings. First, the alliance between terrorist groups and certain armed groups operating in the northern regions of Mali is no longer in doubt. The parties themselves claim responsibility for this evil coalition. This confirms what the transitional authorities have been repeating since the attack on the Tombouctou boat on September 17, 2023. It should also be noted that the complexity of the attacks, the coordination, and the number of terrorists involved confirm the change in the modus operandi of the terrorist groups. Initiated a few months ago, you first witnessed it in an attempt to suffocate the national economy. This cynical plan failed thanks to the responsiveness of the armed and security forces and their partners. Contingency and repatriation plan by the national authorities was effectively implemented. These attacks are not isolated events, as you know. They are part of a vast plan to destabilize Mali and also an attempt to replace the Malian executive with the terrorist order. Hence, this unholy alliance through this terrorist coalition of armed groups. What happened on that day of April 25 was aimed at nothing other than decapitating the country's leadership. There were two major targets that were targeted. The first was the residence of the head of state in Kati. Two truck bombs targeted this residence. One exploded, one was shot at and exploded. The second one failed to explode because of its responses. So the target was well known. The second, unfortunately, was the throated bomb that exploded the residence of the Minister of State, Minister of Defense, and Veterans Affairs. You know the rest? I believe that the objective was absolutely very clear: to replace the leadership in order to bring in personalities who are certainly in the pay of the powers that be, who only seek to disrupt the momentum of rebuilding our country. Our country's choice to take control of its destiny, assume its sovereignty, ensure its security, and develop autonomously in Mali, in the region, and on the international scene. And this will cannot be broken. Our country will continue to stand up, to face up, to and assume its decisions. The writer Joseph Kiserbo would say, I repeat it every time, Laura. And Sarah, if we lie down, we are dead.
Now, let me explain something here to you. Mali is one of the countries that speak French because they were colonized by the French. Now, before we dive into that, notice that a couple of days ago, there was a major terror attacks in Mali where there was a truck filled with explosive and was drove all the way to the house of the defense minister. Yes, and that took his life and the whole family life. Yeah, most of the family that were staging at that particular house, that explosion took their life. Yeah. So right now, the Malian government is accusing Ukraine of arming and providing support for terrorist groups in Mali. Let's do the analysis. Well, a couple of years ago, these countries went separated from Europe, broke the relationship between them and Europe, and went to join Russia, and they become a very good friend of Russia. Yes. Then a few years later, when Ukraine and Russia went to war, and countries in the United Nations were asked to vote against Russia for the attacks in Ukraine, these countries refused to vote against Russia, and Ukraine was like, oh, okay, you didn't like me, so I did not like the stance that you take. Ukraine didn't like that, so he said, okay, you guys are friends with Russia. Okay, I'm going to do one thing. You guys have terrorists in your country, right? Then I'm going to be friends with that terrorist in your country. I'm going to be their friends. Then we see what happens next. You see that? So Ukraine decided to support the terrorists in the country. Yes, that's something that is happening. Now, what happens a couple of years ago was very devastating. There was a major attacks in Mali where the terrorists attacked the government and killed many soldiers from the government. And the government was very surprised because among the soldiers were two Russians, because Russian soldiers are currently in Mali training Malian soldiers. So how were they able to kill Malian soldiers and Russian soldiers all together? How? So the government quickly finds out that the person behind it, that was Ukraine. Ukraine provides the support, training, and equipment to terrorists in Mali so that they can kill the Russians together with the Malian forces. That's what is going on. That's what they are finding out. Now, someone is asking me, how do I know this? It's because of this man here. The man said that they have done that. Yes, but he's not going to raise more details. You just listen to him.
The fact that the rebels received the necessary information that allowed them to conduct a successful operation against Russian war criminals, the whole world has already seen this. In principle, this can be commented on. We certainly will not disclose any details, but let's say there will be a continuation. This is sensitive information.
So what is he talking about? He's basically saying that they moved from Ukraine all the way to an African country, Mali, to give support to terrorists, to unalive Russians and Malian soldiers. That's what he's saying. So Mali was very angry about it, yes. And Burkina Faso and Niger also joined because they were brothers. These people are brothers, and they became angry. They were angry at it. So immediately the Malian cut ties with the Ukraine, and immediately the brothers also joined. Burkina Faso and Niger also joined. Yes. Why? Because these people are brothers. These three nations, especially on the African continent, these are brothers. Yes. If you attack one person, that means you have attacked the whole body. If you attack another person, you have attacked all. Yes. If you sanction one, you sanction all. Yes. So if you should know how you do your things to these people. Yes, they have real brothers over there. Yeah, the unity between them is very powerful on the continent. Now look, the same thing happens to Niger when Tiani came into power. Yes, and overthrown this man, Mohamed Bazoum. And Mohamed Bazoum, this guy was a very good friend of the French. Yes, he provided them a lot of help by letting the French takes their field, uranium and other stuff just like that. Yes, he allowed the French to do that. He actually helped the French a lot. But Tiani says no more. When he came into power and overthrew Bazoum, he said no. I have decided to serve my people. I'm going to serve African people. We can't do this anymore. And bam, a lot of people were angry. Even those who were on the continent, these countries right here, yes, called ECOWAS, they decided to attack their own brother. They have come together with the intelligence, the equipment, the weapons, and soldiers to be able to attack this person, this brother. Yes. And the surprise thing is that they went all the way to Europe to go and announce that we are ready to attack our own brother. We need your support. Hey, this is crazy. You just listen.
My visit this afternoon is to explain our position to the European Union, what has informed the various measures that ECOWAS has taken, and the collaboration we seek from all our partners. As you know, the world is a global village. One event in a particular place affects the whole world.
Now look at that. This old man is just saying the world is a global village. Yes, for Africans, the world is a global village. But for those people over there, they don't see it as such. They wouldn't think about themselves. They don't think about you Africans. You are coming from a pit. sorry. Yes. But that's how they see African people. Shithole, yes. They don't see you as one people. You know, why were they there? Because they were there because if they go into Niger, because that is very difficult, because you attack when you attack the whole brotherhood. So if they go into Niger and they were beaten up there, they have no way to go out. These people provide them support. They should actually provide them support, help them out of the situation. That's what they clearly want. But that is actually bad. That's by the way. So Burkina Faso and Niger said nobody should try it, because if one body tried or if somebody attacked Niger, then they have declared war in the Sahel. Yes, that's what they have said, and they couldn't do it. And even a black man from Nigeria even was saying that they have all the people that are ready to attack Niger. You just listen to that.
No one be in doubt that if everything else fails, the valiant forces of West Africa, both the military and the civilian components, are ready to answer to the call of duty.
Yes, but they couldn't do it because they are afraid, because these people have formed alliances, and if you attack one, you attack the whole body. So they are very careful in what engaging in war with these people. Yes, that's what actually happened. Now, the recent attacks where the defense minister was unalive, the Malian foreign minister was very clear by saying this attacks was coordinated. It was planned, precise and coordinated. He was saying it loud and boldly, like the way he did to the French in the past. Yes, he said, we know that Ukraine is involved. They are operating in the Sahel, and they are the reason why these three groups is in the Sahel. That's what he said. Yes.
The government reiterates its request for a specific meeting of the Security Council and will give it the opportunity to present concrete evidence of acts of duplicity, espionage, and destabilization by France against Mali, including the sharing of intelligence and the dropping of equipment to benefit criminal organizations.
Now, let's come back to this. You see, all these countries here, they are colonized by the French, and all the colonies of France were forced, beaten up very, very badly that they couldn't even speak their own language. They were forced to speak the French. Yes, they were forced to speak the French. If you don't speak the French, you are not going to be accepted. You are not going to be accepted by the French. So they have to speak fluently in the French so that they could be accepted by the French. Yeah, that's what actually happened. So up to date, you can see that some people cannot even speak their own mother language very well than speak the French as if, yes, they speak it fluently. That's what is happening. Now, so in 1960s, France gave them independence like many African countries. But unfortunately for France, independence was not from their heart. Yes, living these people was not from their heart. So they decided to have been selecting leaders in these countries. Yes, they decided to be doing that so that they can save their interests at heart. Yes, and they also decided that, okay, we are going to make the money that these people will be using. So they decided to print the money that these people are using up to date, which is the CFA franc. Yes, they are making these people use the CFA franc, which is being produced by France, but not used by France, but used by these African countries. So this can tell you that these people are not independent. Yes, they are not independent yet, until you start doing your own thing, start using your own currency. Because right now, as they are using France currency, they do a lot of pay debts and all of those stuff. A whole lot, yes. So 4 years ago, that's where Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali new leaders came in, and they decided to ditch the French. They said, no more, enough is enough. We are not going to accept your terms again. We are not going to deal with you again. We have to serve the interests of our people. Now, you people are here fighting terrorism. You want to help us fight terrorism. Not that you are doing it for free. We are paying you millions of dollars, millions of euros for you to fight against terrorists. But the result is otherwise. The terrorists are getting stronger and stronger. What does that mean? It doesn't speak well of you people. So it's rather you people go away. We don't need you people anymore. Because now the terrorists have drones and tracks. How come did they have all these tracks? How come did they get all these drones? So Mali accused France by then of sponsoring these three groups. Yes, you see, the foreign minister accused France at the United Nations of equipping the T groups of weapons and intelligence. And when France left, the T groups actually got stronger. So they accuse both France and Ukraine now, yes, that they are behind what is happening in Mali. So that's what is currently happening. Guys, what do you think about what is happening? Do you think Ukraine is behind the attacks in Mali, or France is sponsoring these T groups with these tracks and with this ammunition? Because you can ask yourself, how come these people get these tracks, these weapons, and the drones? How did they get it? Did they manufacture the drones? No, absolutely not. Someone is sponsoring these people. Somebody out there is doing this just to destabilize this country for their own personal interest. Yes, that's what is happening. You know, a lot of times these people always see Africa as a shit hole. They can come and do a lot of stuff over here. Remember what happens then back. Yes, you see. So that's it, guys. What do you think? Whatever you think, just let your opinion be known in the comment section. Thank you for watching this channel. Peace.